Hey folks, this is Jerry B from Pride and Glory Travel. Hey, we got our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise going out November 29th, where we're stopping at Nassau, Coast Bahamas, Coco Cay, and Falmouth, Jamaica. This is going to be one cruise to remember. Why? Because it's our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise, where we have our own leather and lace karaoke contest. You guys come on. You don't have to be a biker to go. You don't need to wear leather and lace to be a part of the cruise. Just come have some fun with us this holiday season. Also, we have a great duo show going on called the Dooley Brothers Entertainment. That's me and my brother from Tomorrow's People. We're going to be rocking the house for you at a private concert just for you guys. We got a miniature golf tournament going on. So, folks, come join the fun. We got prices starting at $747 per person. That is just $747 per person for a 7-day beautiful cruise. Pick up the phone, get the rooms booked. Call 920-265-8143. That's Jerry B. That's me, 920-265-8143. And come, we'll see you at sea, y'all.
3.
Hey, folks, welcome again to another episode of Respect the Talk. Hope you folks had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I know I did, doing some moving and stuff. We got my nephew in the house, James Boo Jr. Which one you going by today, bro?
Whichever one you want to use.
You say that shit every time we get on here, man. Why don't you just tell me, call me James, or call me Junior, or call me Boo? You got a favorite, don't you? You can't tell me you don't have a favorite.
I don't.
Really?
A rose by any other name is still smells the sweet. There you go.
What?
A rose by any other name still smells the sweet.
Now, where you get that poetic crap from?
That's Shakespeare.
I know it's Shakespeare, but where did you start reading Shakespeare? Give me a damn break. You try to let these people out here Respect the Talk think you an intelligent, one of those intelligent brothers.
Well,
you a military brat. What are you talking about, man? You're a soldier. Jesus Christ. You wasn't reading no Shakespeare in the Army. Get the shit out of here, man.
I wasn't, but hey, I'm cultured.
You cultured? Okay.
I'm cultured.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Okay, don't be reading Shakespeare on this show no damn more. Because this show is definitely not cultured. You try to bring another element to this show and shit, talk about Shakespeare. Who is that? You know, kids don't know these days, don't know nothing about Shakespeare.
I know, but hey, this show is all about education.
Okay, we'll talk about that later on, but hey, let's get going on here. Everybody, welcome back to Respect the Talk. I'm Jerry, your co-host, my name, and I got James in the building. And if this is your first time hanging out with us, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with somebody who ain't scared to hear a different perspective. And don't just watch, watch it. Jump in with us, because this is where we talk about stuff people thinking, but not always saying out loud. What do we got, James? Come on, talk to me, bro.
Well, today we got a lot to unpack. We're talking about fake advertising, them using the AI on us, videos that look real, but actually look nothing like the product. We're also getting into the Fauci situation and what's got people fired up about his appearance in the state hearing. Then we're talking war, oil, power, and why regular people always end up paying first when politicians start talking tough. And later on, we're going to get into age, cynicism, faith, and why the younger generation is going to live with their choices being made right now, or with the choices being made right now for them. So yeah, we got a lot on our plate. Let's dig in.
Welcome to Respect the Talk with Jerry B.
Respect the talk. Respect the talk. Respect the talk.
All right, folks, we're back here again. Hey, glad to be back here with you guys. Hey, like Jay said, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about a product scam. But hey, I want to talk about something before my producer's going to get mad, because I got to throw this in here, because this is something that I was thinking about. I was watching the news today, and I posted this on my Facebook page. Don't get mad, producer. I'm getting ready to change the topic, because we're going to talk about it real quick, though. We're talking about the DSA, which we know what that is, the Democratic Socialists of America, right?
Okay.
Okay. Now help me make sense out of this real quick. They're running for Senate. They're putting people up there to run for Senate. Correct? Am I wrong or right?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. Okay. One of the main things that they're talking about running on is abolishing the Senate. Now, help me make this sense. Help me make sense of this. Now, you're running for a job you want to get rid of. It's like, what in the hell? What sense does that make? I mean, I don't get the logic in that one.
Because change can only come from within.
Yeah, but if you get rid of your own damn job, you're running for a position in an office that you're trying to get rid of. So then if you get rid of a job, now you're out of a job.
Okay. Why is that such a bad thing? Sometimes sacrifices have to be made.
But you know what? Hey, bro, stop
I get you. I
the
get you. I
nonsense.
get you.
Stop the
I'm
nonsense.
playing devil. I'm, let me
Stop the
do
nonsense.
this.
That's
I'm
like,
playing.
where you work at? Where you work at? No, stop the nonsense. Here you go. They're going to put, because I've seen this happen. They promote people to a position in your job, say like that, and then they get rid of your position. Guess what? You're out of a job. What sense does that make? Don't tell me you're not going to be pissed off.
No, I'm playing devil's advocate because I understand what you're saying. But here's the situation there. It's more so that, like I said, change can only be affected from within. You have to get into the Senate. You can't abolish the Senate or other branches of government without being in it. There's no way to change the Constitution without being in that role, right?
Right. Well, I get that. I do get that. But my point is, why
And
would you do that to your own self?
for the same reason that you and I will both speak truth to power, knowing that, especially with this administration in there, we could have somebody coming after us because of something we say.
Yeah. Well, I get that. Here's my goal. Here's my thing. And this is what this is where I have my irritation with the DSA. And I don't give a shit crap what they do because this is their time. I'll be dead by the time all this crap comes to fruition anyway. Our government was built on three branches of our government. I don't mind people changing the way things are ran, but don't change the way the foundation is set up. This country has been doing really well for 246
250 years.
years. Huh?
250.
No, 246 years. This was doing well for 246 years until this clown got in there and started tearing shit up. Then all of a sudden,
Okay.
voting is bad and everything else is bad, and that's when the country goes to shit. So then the DSA comes around, and then they want to abolish the Senate and all this other stuff and I can see why you want to do it because this clown came in there and started just tearing the system up. Because people weren't thinking about that. So yeah, what was wrong with the system was working. There's no mass mail-in ballots and all this other crap, but now all this change has got to happen. And you make change too fast, and what you wind up doing is wind up with a nightmare on your hand.
Okay. I can see your point there. I do. I really see your point. Okay. Yes, wholeheartedly. However, for some people, especially people who are just starting to get involved in politics, because admittedly, there are a lot of people out there who are just starting to get involved in politics.
Right.
They see just the flaws. And for them, the only way to fix it is to start anew, tear the whole thing down, start anew. Kind of like if you had a building with a foundation, bad foundation. You don't try and patch up the foundation and think that now everything is going to line up. That's not usually how it's done. If the foundation is totally screwed, then you just destroy the whole building, rebuild.
Gotcha. But bro, that's what MAGA did with Trump. They thought they didn't like the system, and they figured, okay, let's put this guy in here because he's a businessman, and maybe he'll just tear it down and rebuild it and fix it up. And you see how this is turning out.
I agree wholeheartedly. You and I are speaking from places of experience. We've seen the improvement that our country, visible improvement our country has gone through in our lifetime.
Right.
But we're talking about a generation that is just seeing the flaws. They are just starting to get involved because politics were, growing up, politics were talked about over the dinner table, in passing. It wasn't as prevalent as it is today. Today, it's not only topics of discussion, but for a lot of people, it's their whole cloth identity.
Yeah.
So yes, you got a lot of people who are just starting to get into politics, just starting to understand politics, and everyone, I say it all the time. We all have our own baggage. We all bring our own baggage to the table.
Right.
And in this case, you have a lot of younger people. You have a lot of people in general who come to the table with an ideal, a fantasy of what this country is or
Right.
what this country could be.
Right.
And they're not seeing the improvement that we've gone through, and a lot of it comes from the same whitewashing history thing.
Yeah.
That's another problem with them trying to whitewash history and only show or only teach the true highlights of this country, because you don't see where you're coming from.
But we've had this conversation before, because I've been advocating for young people to get involved in politics because this is their time. We've talked about that many times on this show. But I wanted them to get involved in politics right. I was sitting there watching the person who runs the DSA on TV, and they was talking about all the stuff she stands for, and this was on Fox News. And she's rambling off what they stand for: abolish prisons. And I'm thinking, how in the hell how does that work? You abolish prisons. What do you do with all these mass inmates? I mean, these, not just the ones that are in there, but the criminals that run wild in this country. I mean, to me, those are stupid ideas. It's some of the things that they're standing for.
Using that as an example,
and they want to open the borders. There's more. There's a lot of stuff in there that just makes no sense. I'm sorry. If you look at what they stand for, you'd be like, holy cow, these guys are nuts.
You have to not only look at what they're saying, but what they're trying to move toward. Because there is just like we all know that stuff gets edited, and you can edit stuff in a way where you can make a person look good or bad. And keep in mind, you're talking about Fox News. If you're talking about abolishing prisons, you're not talking about getting rid of jails and prisons in general.
Bro,
What
yes,
you're
she
talking
did.
about
She said
is,
it. Not Fox News. The lady herself said that.
I understand what you're saying, but there's a broader spectrum to it. For example, people were talking about abolishing the police. They weren't necessarily talking about saying, okay, there's no more police, let's get rid of them. No more men in blue, no more shields, no more bodies to enforce laws. No, it's more like designing the system so that it's not, for example, our prison system isn't just about incarceration and punishment or rehabilitation. That's what I'm saying. So we got the privatized prison system. We have that where and it's our privatized systems are now our primary prison systems. So we have to get to a point where, like I said, you and I are both parents. We know that the best way to keep kids out of trouble is to keep them involved in something positive.
Right, yeah.
In the Black community, we don't have a whole lot of that.
Right.
We don't have organized sports. We don't have a whole lot of after-school activities. We don't have a lot of intramural sports. You
Well,
know,
you know, and I don't know if you remember, but our government ended all that. Remember, because we used to have after school in the parks, even summer programs, you know, and they got rid of everything.
I agree. So hence the reason for wanting to get in and change the system from the inside. Now, like I said, I don't believe that anybody wants to abolish the Senate whole cloth, or abolish the police whole cloth, or abolish our military whole cloth. There's no such thing. Everybody knows that we have a foundation in all those things. We need those things. However, there is a better way of doing those things. There's a better way to improve those things. If you look at other countries, our incarceration rate is the highest on the globe.
Right.
You know, so there's obviously something wrong with that.
Right. Oh, exactly. Exactly.
So we have to figure out how to fix these things.
Well,
Gun crimes. We have the highest gun crimes on the globe, on the planet. Again, and it's not like we're the only country with guns.
right.
We have problems here that we have to solve. And for them, the most obvious solution is the most radical solution.
But I get what
said,
you're saying. I get what you're saying, bro. But you can't walk around talk about getting rid of stuff because in this political climate, like you talked about the words they use, these people grab on that, and that's where you lose other people at, like abolish police. If you remember that, abolish police. That's what they gravitated to. Instead of just saying we need to straighten out the police department and just saying something like that, not get rid of, because people are not going to hear, oh, they want to get in and straighten out the police department. They're going to hear abolish the police, or we're going to abolish prisons. Well, that's what they hear. They don't hear get into the prison system and straighten this crap out. I want to get in the Senate to straighten this prison crap system out, or anything like that. They talk about abolishment or open borders. You know, they're talking about we want the borders to be open. Well, why can't you say we want to get the border situation straightened out where people can come across the border legally? You know, make a presentation that makes sense, because these other people on the other side is not going to hear that. They're going to hear abolish police, abolish prison, open up the border. That's all they hear. They don't care. And that's the argument, because that's the argument I got with them. When you tell me that, that's what sticks in my head. And I can't read between your lines to tell me something different.
I hear you. However, we are having this conversation now. It forced you to want to have this conversation.
Okay, I give you that. 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 Well, I've been talking like I said.
So for that generation, we are talking about the clickbait generation.
Right. Yeah.
The best way to start a dialogue is to say something, or the best way to get attention is to say something outlandish, and then that forces a conversation.
Yeah. Okay. I got. Well, you know. Okay. I give you that. Okay. You got it, because we are talking about it. You know, and I think it's the wrong way to be talking about it, because if you're trying to win elections, you're chasing people away by saying stuff like that, because a lot of people, even the older Democrats like me that became independents, but we still more liberal, are going to hear something totally different, which is what I just did. You probably going to hear something different, because guess what? You're not quite my age, and the younger generation is going to hear exactly what they're saying. You know, so if you don't put it out there in words exactly what your meaning is, we're going to take you at my age for exactly what you're saying. And that's where we're going to stay at. We don't have time to mince words and parse words or try to figure out in between the lines what you really mean. I don't have the time for that. This is what I heard you say, and that's what I'm sticking on. You know, now.
And wholeheartedly, I agree. Words matter. Your choice of words matter. And I'm gonna keep that in mind when I say, or keep that in mind when we talk later on.
Yeah, please. Absolutely. Here, okay, let's jump into this next one. AI product scams, man. You know what's crazy? False advertising still feels like a thing. Only now it's dressed up as AI. I keep seeing items online with these product photos, these slick little videos, and then what shows up at your door like a cousin of a thing you ordered. I mean, come on now. That's not marketing, that's a setup. And while part of people are supposed to just act surprised when a product don't match the picture, nah. At some point, somebody's got to call it is what it is. I mean, if the ad is fake, the trust is fake too. And once people stop trusting what they see, that's a problem bigger than one bad purchase. Come on, talk to me, Jay. Jump in here, bro.
I'm right there with you because my mom ordered something off the line. Your sister-in-law ordered something off the line, and she was so excited about it. It was some kind of tomato or potato peeler, multi-function tool, miracle.
Right, right.
That what she got. Well, she ended up giving me one because she had ordered multiple ones because she was so
Thinking it was gonna
impressed
be
by.
great for everybody.
Yeah, she was gonna hand them out, and she ended up giving it to me more as a joke than anything else because she was so disappointed. But
That's funny.
we live in a country where the motto has always been buyer beware. And nowadays you do have to stay educated on AI and what could be fake, and hopefully you don't get scammed too big. But yeah, I mean, it's we're talking about AI taking over where humans were falling short.
Right, yeah.
So uh, we had just gotten to the point where, well, I'm not even going to say that. We were already at the point where scammers would call you with a fake caller ID. They could change their caller ID and they tell you that they're the bank or a utility company or whoever,
Yeah.
and they were getting these people to give them thousands of dollars in gift cards, and these people were buying into it,
Yeah.
or they were getting your personal information, where they could sit there and rob you blind, and they would take they could get out of less informed people,
Yeah.
and a lot of elderly people. They would get everything from full social security number to mother's maiden name,
Right.
from these people. And now you have AI out here, which it improves the illusion that they're selling.
Right. Well,
I
the '90s and the 2000s when false ads was not accepted? Now they're accepted. Dude, let me tell you something that just happened to me a couple of weeks ago. Somebody called me and they kept calling, and it was coming from a 920 number. And because here's the deal. My phone number is 920 because I never changed it from Wisconsin. So this is how slick these fuckers got. Excuse my French, folks, because it pisses me off. So now they're calling. I'm like, dude, I know you're not from Wisconsin, so why are you telling me? Why are you calling me from a 920 number? Where you at? Well, they're in California. Well, why don't your California number come up? So this is how slick they got. So they know you're from that area, and maybe you answer your phone because it's somebody at home. So they're routing their phones to some stupid generator to create some 920 number. So I just snapped and I cussed them out and hung up on them. I said, don't ever call me no more unless you call me from the right number.
I get it all the time. I'm in the same boat. I still have the same phone number that I've had probably now for 20 years. And yes, I get phone calls all the time from an 815 area code, which is Illinois suburb, Chicago suburb. I still get fake phone calls from
Right.
those phone numbers. I get um, everything from people who say that they're part of a police union to police fraternity to
Yeah.
loan uh, offers and everything in between. insurance, everything.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. They can give themselves fake phone numbers, change the caller ID, all that. But what the one that gets me is you can watch the exact same ad with different people in it, different voices, with the exact same skit, the exact
Right.
same script,
Yeah.
and it's obvious AI.
Right. Yeah.
But we got those things that are not so obvious now too.
Well, this world, like I said, this world is going crazy, and AI is just, it started a while ago. A while ago, we started talking about shrinkflation. Then there's AI. I went to Burger King the other day, and I haven't had a Burger King fish sandwich in freaking 100 years. And I remember when I used to get a Burger King fish sandwich, it was like a quarter-inch thick or maybe a little bit more, and it was a nice fish sandwich. Now that sucker came out, smashed the crap, looked like an eighth-inch fish sandwich. And I'm like, what the hell? You charge, but your price went up to $5 when you can buy a fish sandwich for $2. So it's just, again, that's all a part of this new world order that they're creating. And the young people don't realize what's happening to them because they never had to
They
they,
never saw the
they,
movie.
they never saw the real stuff, so they think, oh, this is normal. Fish sandwiches are like an eighth-inch thick and they $5. No, dude, that's not what it used to be. They screwing with you guys in your head, but it is your time, not ours. So you guys fix this crap however you want. Let's jump under this foul. You got something to say? You want to say something else?
Just real quick, man. I told you all the time. My grandfather used to tell me about how candy bars were a
Nickel.
penny and then
Yeah.
a nickel, and they were twice the size that they are now. I can do the same thing. I remember when candy bars or Snickers was a quarter, and they were the size of a king size candy bar we
Right.
have now.
Right.
It's ridiculous that things get smaller as we get older, but at the same time, um, buyer beware.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, you can't, and I have to add this in too. Places you talked about, scams are happening more often. False advertising is happening more often. There, the recourse we had for a long time was reporting a company or an agency to the Better Business Bureau.
Right.
They would actually send out investigators. You can. There were laws against bait and switch.
Right.
A lot of that stuff, our government over the years has taken the teeth out of.
Right.
And this administration is probably done the most to
The most of it,
damage,
yeah.
to not only take the teeth out of these organizations, but also damage their reputation.
Yeah.
Like you said, a lot of people, um, they've never seen what it used to be.
Yeah.
They don't know how much change has taken place over the last 10 years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's sad, but it it is what it is. It's like I said, excuse me, it's their world, and they're gonna have to they're gonna have to deal with it, So I mean, they think this is normal, and we as older people know it's not normal to us. Normal to them, but it's not normal to us.
Correct.
So hey, let's go on to the next topic because this is something that's been going on. It's all over the TV now. Excuse me, folks. Now, on the Fauci thing, because he's under fire, that one is already setting the internet on fire. At a Senate hearing on July 29, 2026, Anthony Fauci repeatedly invoked the Fifth Amendment and declined to answer more than 100 questions in a hearing led by Senator Rand Paul. Reuters and the AP said the hearing centered on COVID-era decisions, viruses, origins, and gain of function allegations. And look, people are going to spend that however they want. Some folks are going to say accountability. Some folks are going to say political theater. And honestly, That's where everybody's mind just goes now anyway. But you know what I keep coming back to here. When somebody gets this messy, when something like this gets this messy, it stops being about one man and starts being about what the country still doesn't trust about the whole pandemic era. That's the real conversation. There's going to be another pandemic. It really is. The problem is they didn't try to do anything to sort out this crap to make sure they know what they're doing the next time it hits. And that's the bad thing because nobody still knows anything.
Agreed. You know, I I'm kind of on the fence where I remember not too long ago, the orange one invoked the Fifth Amendment. I don't know
Oh,
how
many
many
times, yeah. Countless times.
um and his groupies were quick to say, well, that's because he's going to be prosecuted for anything he says. Well,
Same thing here, exactly.
while he himself was saying only a few years before, if you have to invoke the Fifth Amendment, it means that you're guilty.
Guilty,
You
yeah,
have
and
something
then
to hide.
and then he did
So
it.
we already knew where his mind was.
Right.
So for him, if you invoke the Fifth Amendment, then that means that you're guilty and you have something to hide. He said those words himself.
You're correct. And then I
So
remember him coming in doing it too.
exactly. So that's why I say we know because that's how his mind works. He said it himself that if you have to invoke the Fifth Amendment, then that means that you're guilty. So when he invoked the Fifth Amendment, he knew he was guilty.
Correct.
So in his case, that's where I have to believe that he spoke his own truth. With Dr. Fauci, we have also seen in recent months where, you know, every accusation is a
They were trying to do a got you with him. That's all they were.
Right.
They were just trying to get a
Right.
got you because he got
Well-
pardoned from Biden. And I know this. Everybody's arguing about it. He got pardoned from Biden. And what they were trying to do is get him to say something that is wrong or something, or that contradicts what he said before. And then they can turn around and recharge him again because it's after the fact. So that's what they were trying to do. I know that's what they were trying to do. Ain't nobody stupid.
And every like I was saying, every accusation is an admission of guilt.
Yeah.
So the fact that the orange one was saying that the reason why he was pleading the Fifth is because he felt that the government was corrupt and out to get him. You know, here we are again. His own words are his own admission of guilt. He said that, you know, he felt like Fauci's admission of guilt would be him pleading the Fifth, but in actuality, it's more so this administration and his cult-like people in power below him will do his bidding and get Fauci in trouble.
Correct, yeah.
They will go after Fauci for anything he says.
And that's what they were doing. That's what they were trying to do, you know. So we all know that. Hey, let's move on to the next step of Iran's strategy. What's the end game? I'm going to say this, and I know some people are going to get into their feelings about it. They're going to have their feelings. I don't want America to lose. Trust me, I don't. I don't want nobody trying to turn that into me rooting against the country. I don't want that to happen either. But before we do get into that, let's take a break real quick here, you guys. We'll be right back in 2 and 2. Hi, folks. This is Jerry B from Pride and Glory Travel. Hey, we got our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise going out November 29th, where we're stopping at Nassau, Bahamas, Coco Cay, and Falmouth, Jamaica. This is going to be one cruise to remember. Why? Because it's our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise, where we have our own leather and lace karaoke contest. You guys come on. You don't have to be a biker to go. You don't need to wear leather and lace to be a part of the cruise. Just come have some fun with us this holiday season. Also, We have a great duo show going on called the Dooley Brothers Entertainment. That's me and my brother from Tomorrow's People. We're going to be rocking the house for you at a private concert just for you guys. We got a miniature golf tournament going on. So, folks, come join the fun. We got prices starting at $747 per person. That is just $747 per person for a 7-day beautiful cruise. Pick up the phone. Get your rooms booked. Call 920-265-8143. That's Jerry B. That's me. 920-265-8143. And come, we'll see you at Sea Y'all. Okay, folks, we're back here. Okay, let's jump back in here. Now, like I said, don't get your undies in a bun because that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm thinking you guys remember what I said earlier. I'm going to say this about nobody trying to turn that into. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I never wanted us to get into a war we didn't know how to get out of, because once you're in it, you're in it. And then everybody starts talking tough, like there's some clean exit sitting right around the corner. There usually isn't. And now you got all this talk like they're ready to make a deal, and I'll know when they're ready. Dude, come on. That's not a plan. That is not a plan. That's people trying to save face while the situation keeps getting worse. And the part that really gets me is when and folks act like we can just run off oil and energy like it doesn't matter. If we are so energy independent, which they keep talking about, why does everything at the gas station and grocery stores keep telling a different story? Stop the nonsense. Wake the hell up, folks. Come on, jump in here, James. Talk to me, bro.
I just put gas in my tank yesterday, and man, I was kicking, screaming, jumping up and down, so mad because all I could think is, and keep in mind, I'm in a purple area where we have a large swath of Republicans and MAGA hat wearing folks, and Democrats, not only in politics but in general, tend to be pretty quiet. So you don't see a whole lot of vote Harris, this and that, or whatever her slogan was. I don't even remember.
Right.
You didn't see a lot of that, but you did see a lot of MAGA stuff and Trump 2020, 2024, and now you're starting to see 2028 stuff out there, which is crazy.
Right.
But I just remember, that they were kicking and screaming about gas prices during his last year, even though the gas prices had gotten down to, in my area, gotten down to like $2.35.
Right.
And I also remember going to the gas station just after the election, and the prices were still $2.35 or so. And I remember mid-January going and overhearing two people talking about, even though the prices were still the same that they had been for 6 months,
Right.
that he was that the orange one was already doing it, and look at how low the gas prices are, even though they hadn't
Right.
changed.
Right. I remember that, yeah.
Now we're 2 years in, and gas prices have gone up $2. $2. I just went to the gas station yesterday and paid $4.38.
Well, yeah.
And there's crickets out there about the gas.
Yeah, nobody's saying nothing. But same thing with the food. Nobody said anything about the price being so high now.
This is insanity to me that I don't understand. And before, we had the excuse that there was a global pandemic that not only affected our gas prices and nobody necessarily had control of, a global pandemic, but now our gas prices are $2 higher because of a war we started
Right.
that is affecting the global economy.
Yeah.
The- the-
It's crazy.
yeah, this is insane.
But
Everything about I was watching something on Facebook. I forget the guy's name who came up and he said, I just want to waste some of my time. So for any of you MAGA supporters out there, any of you uh right far right wing folks out there, tell me one thing that you guys were right about. Tell me one thing that this guy's gotten right. Excuse me.
Mhm.
And I started thinking about it, and I really can't. Nothing that's based in facts can't come up with anything that this administration has gotten right.
Here's a real rub because I heard him on TV the other day talking about eggs. Now, mind you, under Biden, and I'm not a Biden. Don't. Oh, you're a Democrat and you're a Biden supporter. You're stomping for Biden. No, I'm not stomping for Biden. I'm stomping for facts here. When Biden was president, eggs got up to $4 and something cents. I kept telling people that's the bird flu. Biden has nothing to do with that. Absolutely zero. And everybody, no, it's Biden's fault. Oh my God. He look at these eggs and blah, 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 it's Biden. So then the egg price, Trump got in, egg price was still $4 or $5 a dozen. And I'm like telling people, dude, that's not Trump. I mean, it's not his fault. That's the bird flu. Now the bird flu is going down, the price of eggs going down, and people are like, and Trump's on TV ranting and raving, talking about, look, I got egg prices to go down. Dude, no, you didn't. The bird flu is non-existent right now or getting under control, and that's what's bringing the prices down. You have nothing to do. That's why everything else is still so high. You can't say just because eggs is down, the economy is doing better. You cannot base it on that. So now you're trying to base the stock market, you're trying to base the economy on the stock market and eggs. And none of that makes any sense to the average person that lives and works out here, dude. We know, if anybody with any sense would know, the reason egg prices are going down because the bird flu is actually dropping and they're creating more eggs now that for everybody to start. Anyway, that's my thing for it. Anyway,
No,
call me crazy.
I agree. I agree. Like I said, man, there's always going to be something that can increase or decrease the prices of a certain um of a
Product,
small sector,
yeah.
certain product. Exactly. So, for example, the cost of beef. Whenever we have an outbreak of mad cow disease, the price of beef is going to go up.
Right. Exactly.
Whenever whatever causes pigs to get sick and start dying off, we're going to have an increase in pork and pork bellies
Right.
to go up. For chickens, it was the bird flu.
Right.
These things happen in cycles.
Cause and effect. Cause and effect.
Exactly. And they also happen in cycles, and we have government agencies that are supposed to be out there that are supposed to help protect us. Much like the I can't even say the name of the disease or the bacteria that's going around.
Yeah, with the lettuce and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, with the lettuce, we're supposed to have a government agency in place that would track those sort of things, and they keep it under containment.
Right.
But in the infinite wisdom of this administration and his taking on a dude with autism, an autistic quote, and his decision to put him in charge of slashing the budget, this a series of dumb. What? I can't say what I want to out of respect to you and for my folks who might be watching, but a series of dumb but decisions have put us in a place where these sort of things happen, and we don't have the government agencies out there that are supposed to help protect us.
Right.
But again, we're talking about a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Those are certain things that will affect, like the bird flu will affect the chickens.
Right. Yeah.
Mad cow disease will affect
Beef.
the price of beef. But we're looking at a bigger picture. Those things aren't happening in a vacuum right now.
No.
Everything is up. Everything is up and getting smaller. So you're paying more per pound for everything.
Everything. Yeah. Big time. Big time.
And this is a direct result of the bad decisions that our government has made.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and it is what it is. You know, I mean, our government is, you know, they're supposed to be keeping checks and balances, and they're not doing anything. They're just our government is running ramshot, and that's why I get what the DSA want to do, which we talk about that. But like I said, they just need to reword that. You know, just a little bit. But anyway, let's move into the next segment. We got about 6 minutes left here. Getting older changed my perspective, you guys. As I get older, you know, I ain't gonna tell you how old I am. I find myself getting a little bit more cynical about things. Prime example, those ASPCA commercials. Yeah, they're made to pull at your heartstrings. I get it. I got a dog. I love my animal. I really do. I love my little Scarlet. But sometimes I watch that stuff and think, instead of showing me all the pain that the animals are going through, help the animal. Get them out of that cage you're showing them with all the flies and stuff buzzing around them. Fix the problem right there. Don't just package my sympathy like that's the solution. At a certain age, I don't want more gimmicks. I want solutions. And then you got people on Facebook quoting faith like they own the whole Bible, but they only pull out the parts that fit their own narrative. They'll talk about who's right, who's wrong, who's sin, who's a sin, and who isn't. But they skip right past the parts about loving your neighbor, loving thy neighbor, loving your enemies, and loving one another. That's the piece people don't like to sit with. If you really read the whole thing, the Bible that is, it makes it a whole lot harder to just point fingers all day long. And then there's this other conversation about older folks trying to hold on to the country the same way forever. I had to talk with somebody the other day. They were an older gentleman. He was almost in his 80s. And, uh, you know, he was complaining about the DSA. And I told him, why does this bother you so much? Because it doesn't really bother me, because like I told you, you talked about this, Jane, it's not my time anymore. It's their time. So what the DSA do, I really don't care, because by the time it really kicks in and takes effect, I'm going to be dead and buried. So basically, that's what I told that older gentleman who was almost 80. Why does it bother you what the DSA is doing? It's not going to affect you any at all. You've had your time. You lived your life. This is their time. They can do, if this is the way they want to go in their time, that's the way they want to go. The Democrat Socialists of America described itself as the largest socialist organization in the United States with more than 95,000 members, and said it is a political activist organization, not a party. Its current program materials also talk about things like Medicare for all, I agree with, because that should be a right, not a privilege. Universal rent control, I agree with that also, because we need to stop these high-ass prices of these rent and ending mass incarceration. That one I agree with, because this country has went crazy. That's my point. This is young America's time. We had ours. We made our choices. We lived through our era. Now it's on them to figure out what kind of country they want to live in, because they're the ones who are going to have to carry it forward. Some of it might sound crazy to me. Some of it might sound right, but I'm willing to give them a chance because it's their time now, not ours. You can jump on in there, James. Let's talk about this. I know we talked about it earlier, but
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. My views on the world have changed over the years. Um, and again, I try to, and I pride myself on trying to keep an open mind. So like I said earlier today, playing devil's advocate, trying to unpack what they were saying versus what they meant, and so on and so forth. Um, I My thing is, I love the fact that our country has evolved in 250 years. Well, 240 years, because you're talking about his first run in the presidency also. But it had evolved over those years. And there's been some highlights, some lowlights. But it's a total package. It's a total package. As far as faith is concerned, I was disillusioned with Christianity. And again, this is everybody has their own suitcase to unpack. But I was disillusioned with Christianity when I was younger. And I saw a lot of the TV evangelists who later on you find out own 3 private jets, and they're in competition with each other to get the biggest private jet. And I ended up knowing in my head what religion was supposed to be about, what God really wanted from us. And that's why I converted. That's why I converted to Islam, because I ran into an imam who, and again, this was my situation. I ran into an imam who told me things that made sense to me, and they also went as far as to help out their own community. Like, they ended up buying city blocks at a time where it was everything that it was rent controlled, they relieved, so on and so forth. If you ran into a situation where you couldn't pay your rent, then like the churches used to do, they would get together and help you raise the money. They would get together and help take care of you. They would get together, help feed your family. And that was what one of the things that I saw where I thought, this is what God really wants from us. So, and again, that was because of my own personal suitcase, not only with the TV evangelist, but I seen other situations which also disillusioned me with Christianity. But again, it's a matter of perspective. You and I, like you said, you and I are both getting older. Some of us older than others, but it is time for this next generation to come along. If we did our job and our due diligence, then, and we mentored the younger generation, then all we can do is look in the mirror and say, hey, we did our part. Now it's yours.
Right, exactly, yeah. Well, again, like I told that gentleman, I said, if you remember growing up in the 40s or 30s or whatever, and he had to shake his head and said, you're right. I said, because this is your time, sir. The time you grew up, you were growing up in the era of Elvis Presley, and your parents hated him because he was a rock and roll artist, and they wouldn't even show show him below his belt buckle because they thought it was, oh my God, look at that, look at his sinning. And this was the time you grew up in, but it was your time. You got a chance you rooted for him, so you guys got Elvis, and you guys loved Elvis, and oh my God, he was the king of whatever you guys called. That was your time. And that's just like when rap music came out, that's what those kids' time, because that's the music they like. This is these people's time. We're here to just live in the time that we got now. That means we can't, and that's why I get upset about some of our Republicans and Democrats down in office, because they're too, should they be an age limit? Do I like to play ageism? No, I don't want to play ageism. But when they're over 70 years old, I think they should start getting ready to get up out of there. And when they get to 75 and 80, they definitely should have their ass out of there and sit their grandpa ass down somewhere in the house with their grandkids. There's no reason in the world they should be in office, and that's on both sides, trying to tell young people how do they live their life, because They're still stuck back in the 40s and the 50s. They don't know crap about it. Heck, I guarantee you not one of them know how to operate a computer right. I mean, they probably have their age doing all that crap. No, not probably. They do. So, yes, I feel they need to just get out of the way. Let the young people run this country the way they see fit. And if they screw it up, so be it. It's their country. They got to live it. I don't.
I saw, and I think it was an ad. We were talking about those AI generated ads, but I saw one recently where this gentleman was talking about the fact that he lives in this small town that was great, but the town is going broke. And the reason why the town is going broke is because there's a lot of old folks in the town that want the town to stay exactly where it is, stay exactly how
Right.
it is. They
Right.
don't want the bigger roads. They don't want the businesses to come in. They just want that small town vibe.
Right.
And because of that small town vibe, actually, it wasn't even an ad. This gentleman was talking about buying up an old factory that had since gone broke and left. He was going to buy up the factory and start up a chicken farm, slaughterhouse, commune type place that would bring the town in X amount of billions of dollars every month, not only through the jobs in the export of the chickens, but also through the possibility of opening it up for tourism and so on and
Right.
so
Right.
forth.
Yeah.
And he said that there were a lot of people in town, older people in town, that said, no, we want our town to stay exactly the way it is. Well, the problem is with that is that times are changing. Sometimes you have to adapt and take the lesser of two evils. Do you want the town to go bankruptcy and go away? Or do you want an opportunity like this to come along where you can revitalize the town?
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, real quick, because we got to get out of here, but I want to talk to you about something because, I respect you being a Muslim, but I'm going to jump on this here because I was a Baptist, I don't know, growing up a Baptist, and I became a reborn again Christian, which I really cherish my Christian faith. And yeah, I can see why a lot of these kids are falling out of Christianity because the evangelists and Christians have fell by the wayside. Especially, well, look at Trump. I mean, the prime example. So I can see why a lot of kids have just kind of like fell by the wayside from church. Now, I'm not a Bible thumper, nor do I go to church every Sunday, but my Christianity is strong in me, because I believe in not helping, not knocking you or what your Muslim faith is, but I believe in helping the world if I can, and that's when I get upset when they talk about God bless the United States of America. Why not God bless the world? Why just the United States? So, yeah, but that's where my faith pulls me to is all people, Indians. I don't care. I feel so bad for the Native Americans, the Indians, and what they've been through. I feel so bad for the Chinamen when they brought them over here and all the things that they went through. I also feel bad for our community and what we've been through and still going through. We have changed, but this is my Christianity and my faith that I want to do more for everybody, not just blacks or whites or Chinese, but anybody that needs help. If I can help, I'm gonna help, and that's where I'm at. So anyway, without that being so, folks, we got to get the hell up out of here. I want to thank you guys for visiting with us on this Tuesday evening. We had a blast. Thank you, James, for hanging out with me, man. Hope you had a
No
good time.
problem. And just so that we're clear, I wasn't suggesting that the Muslim faith will only help other Muslims.
Yeah,
I,
that's what you said. You said that, bro.
no, I said that they had a
I'm
community.
teasing you.
Yeah, no, they had a community that focused on that, but that wasn't where it was
All they do,
limited.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
No, they purposely bought a community block by block and built it up
Right.
so that in a time period when Muslims weren't,
Accepted.
well, I'm not even going to say in a time period when um, during periods like now when there's a lot of anti-Muslim and Muslim hate crimes, there's resources for them to strengthen themselves within.
Right. Yeah. See, and I accept all faiths in my world. I don't care what faith you are, as long as you have faith.
I'm the same.
And that's all I ask. I mean, you don't have to believe in my God because we all got our own God, but you at least got to have faith. And if you have faith, we're all good. If you don't have any faith, I don't need you around me. Because that's what guides me is my faith. And it guides me to you. It guides me to other people. Yeah, I may talk crazy on my show, but that don't mean I don't love you guys out there. Respect the Talk Land. I just love you just as much as anything else. James may talk crazy or boo. He might talk crazy on the show. That don't mean that he don't love you guys. It's still the same. But we're going to speak our mind. We're going to speak our truth because this is who we are. On Respect the Talk, right?
Exactly.
Let's get up out of here, man. It's been a blast. Talk to you guys soon. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. God bless.
Love y'all.
Welcome to Respect the Talk with Jerry B.
Respect